Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So back today with a long-awaited, long-promised collection update. As I've said, I actually have a backlog of a few collection updates, but I'm trying to divide these into categories in accordance with genres, just because I know, certain viewers, they won't like every genre shown, so I'm just making them separate for people's convenience, and also that way the videos won't go on for too long. So two albums to talk about today, so this should be a relatively quick video. This is technically the discography of one band because they released two albums under this name and then they ended up changing their name even though it was the same band, but it's actually the Norwegian black metal band Hades. So that's a name that I've heard for many, many years, always heard them mentioned, I recognize the logo of the band and everything, but I had never actually taken the time to check out the music, believe it or not. It just happens sometimes, bands pass you by for whatever reason, but I'm really glad that I did buy these albums from my local contact over here. So if you're not familiar with Hades, they were formed in the 90s, so sort of like the peak of that second wave of Norwegian black metal, and I believe they're from Bergen, along with, Burzum Immortal. Enslaved? I can't remember where Enslaved are from. Bergen, I think, yeah. Anyway, yes, so it's a famous black metal city in Norway. So the two albums I'm talking about were released in 1994 and 1997. And sort of a bit of trivia, the founding member and guitarist, sort of like the band leader, what's his name? Jørn Inge Tunsberg. His claim to fame is he was convicted for the burning of Åsane or Åsan Church with Vagviknes of Burzum in 1993. So at the time the band had just released a demo, but then he went to prison for his involvement in that crime. So that's sort of a bit of trivia for you, but ultimately the reason I got interested in the band is because of the music. So talking about the band's debut album, first of all, this is Hades with Again Shall Be. And yeah, so first official album in the band's discography. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. It is a really good listen, and I'm glad I finally checked this band out. The way to describe this, it has a very particularly Norwegian sound. Like that might sound ridiculous, but you know how like certain bands or nationalities, they have a particular sound. Like you can often tell when a band is Swedish or Finnish, for example. The same with the Norwegian bands. I think mainly to do with the production as well. But this band, it just has that very Nordic kind of Viking sound, and I'm not sure if the band is going for sort of pagan Viking black metal, but that's what it sounds like a lot to me. And what I was really pleasantly surprised by is the fact that this has it's a sound which is to me very reminiscent of Enslaved's debut album Viking Leader Veldi. So if you like the ambience and production of that particular album, you're going to love this. It is a bit different though musically, like Enslaved is a lot more diverse, I think, whereas with this band, they're primarily mid-paced, but they have very catchy melodic riffs, and it's got this kind of marching pace to the music. And yeah, so riffs are melodic, they're very catchy, easy to nod your head along to, and just the guitar tone and melody is really good. The vocals are sort of like standard black metal rasp, but at the same time, they also have those kind of like dirgy, clean vocals, like sort of Viking-esque vocals, a bit in the vein of, the clean vocals of bands like Enslaved and Ulver, which I really like. So yeah, like I said, it's a very Norwegian sounding album. Lyrically, it's interesting because I always wondered, is this a pagan black metal band? A lot of those song titles indicate that, like Glorious Again, the Northland shall become, so it's like very sort of in that pagan Viking vein. But then they also have some songs which like look more at the occult, for example, like Hecate, Queen of Hades. Oh, they've actually got that twice. But yeah, a song like Pagan Triumph. So they're sort of like crossing over with those lyrical concepts, which is interesting. But yeah, I really like the music on this. It's very good, and probably, let's see, there's 13 tracks on this. Probably my favorites are track 3, The Ecstasy of Astral Journey, and also the title track, Again Shall Be, which is track 5. So in addition to using melodic guitars and dirgy clean vocals, the band also uses a lot of keyboards as well, but it's not like Emperor where it's drowning in keyboards, it's more just to lift the melodies in the background. But yeah, it sounds very sort of marching, very triumphant. So it really does invoke that pagan Viking atmosphere, which I really enjoy. The only criticism, if I'm being completely honest, and remember this is not me being picky, some people might say, how's your band going? But obviously you guys would, I'm assuming, would prefer honest reviews. While I love this music, my only criticism of this album is that after a while the tracks start to sound a bit samey and interchangeable, because the pace is pretty much the same. It's the whole album, it sort of plods along at this mid pace, which is cool because you can hear the melodic riffs and everything, but it's hard to discern between the tracks. A lot of the time they sound very similar, in my opinion. But like I said, there are those standout moments, like on that track, the Ecstasy of Astral Journey, the keyboards are just awesome in that. So there's a couple of standout moments, but I wouldn't say there's too many standout tracks overall. But it is a very good listen for the overall ambience. It's just hard when the pace is pretty much the same for every song. It's hard to discern between them. Like, there's occasional fast blast beats, but primarily it's just mid-pace. But nevertheless, a good album, good listen. So just showing you the cover here, which is very basic, and lyrics here, which I need to spend more time with. Picture of the band there, so that's Jørgen, the band leader. And all lyrics. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention as well, I'm glad I didn't forget, is the fact that this album, no wonder it has a very Norwegian sound. It was recorded in Grieghallen Studios, which was of course the famous venue where they recorded all those classic 90s Norwegian black metal albums like Die Mysterious Dom Satanas by Mayhem, the early Burzum albums, the early Enslaved albums. You know, you can really hear that in the production. You know, Grieghallen Studios, it's like a big theater. So it means it gives the music this very live, cavernous, echoey sound, and you can really hear that on this. So like, it's like, I swear, but before I even confirmed it, when I was listening to this, I go, this sounds very much like a Grieghallen Studios album, and I was actually correct. So yeah, you can't really go wrong if you like Norwegian black metal and that second wave sound. Just bear this in mind, my only criticism is some of the songs sound a bit samey and interchangeable, and the pace stays pretty much the same, but nevertheless a really good atmosphere. So that's Hades with Again Shall Be. Okay, and up next I have the second Hades album, which I picked up at the same time. So this is Hades with The Dawn of the Dying Sun. Okay, and pretty much, just so I don't take up too much of your time, essentially you have pretty much the same deal on this album. Stylistically, it is similar to Again Shall Be. However, I'm pleased to say there is an improvement on this album. I think the production sounds better, it sounds clearer, and when they have the different instrument parts, they really highlight those. So this one, I would say, has more standout moments, more distinct moments, and more standout tracks than Again Shall Be. So in the same style, but just sort of tweaking it and improving it, which is really good. Yeah, production's clearer. Yeah, so again, yeah, another criticism just of this album though is like Again Shall Be, it seems to outstay its welcome. I forgot to mention that both of these albums are very long, and because the songs sound quite similar, sorry, like when there's more like towards the end, sometimes I think, okay, I've heard enough of this for now, but like, not as a major criticism, but that's just something I've noticed with these. My favorite song on this one is Crusade of the Underground Hordes, especially the way the keyboards are used. Interestingly, some of the keyboards in this, they remind me a bit of Vinterland, the Swedish black metal band, you know, with that album Welcome My Last Chapter, where the keyboards sound really enchanting. Quite similar on this as well. So yeah, but again, it's like melodic mid-paced black metal, again with the raspy vocals, but occasionally the dirgy Viking vocals, and also some of the vocals are quite screeched on this as well. And I also like, in addition to that, on this album, more so than on Again Shall Be, there's also some very sort of intricate acoustic guitar interludes, you know, which is almost like neoclassical in sound. But again, it invokes this very sort of pagan, Nordic, Viking atmosphere on this particular album. So yeah, it's just like Again Shall Be, but I think this one even stands out as, I don't know, just more distinct and an improvement. So just showing you the back here and the booklet. Cool cover art. And yep, again, lyric sheet, there's Jørgen, the founder of the band. And all of the lyrics in there. Yeah, so by the way, so Jørgen, he plays guitars and keyboards. So it was actually someone else who did the vocals, but it was his band primarily. And oh, sorry, I forgot to show you on the other disc. But essentially the design is the same. They both look like this with that black Hades logo, which is kind of cool. Let me just check. Again, show a bit. Oh yeah. So the same deal there. Whoops. Yep. So there you have it, guys. The two Hades albums. Now, this band actually did continue with a series of albums after that, but then they changed their name to Hades Almighty, and I think that was because of some band in the US already had the name Hades, so there was some legal action or something. So Hades changed their name to Hades Almighty, but technically these are the two albums under the name Hades only. So yeah, several albums after this. I haven't heard those, so I can't comment on those. But anyway, if you have, let me know what you think of those Hades Almighty albums. But I would say, if you just like early, sort of like second wave 90s Scandinavian, and particularly Norwegian black metal, definitely check these out. And the bands I would compare them to, like I said, early Enslaved, particularly Viking leader Veldi in terms of the ambience, but there are also aspects of early Ulva with the acoustic guitar passages, those neo-classical acoustic guitar passages. And another band that Hades remind me of is actually Allegiance from Sweden. So if you're not familiar with Allegiance, they were a great band too. That was a pagan Viking black metal band featuring Frederick and Beowulf from Marduk. And I only have one album by them, Hymn to Hangagud or something, except only a copied version, but that's very good. Hades is very much in the same vein. It's sort of like melodic, triumphant, marching, pagan Viking black metal. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So I hope you don't think that like I'm being too harsh with my criticisms, but I'm just being honest. Whenever I listen to these two albums, while I enjoy them, I feel they go on a bit long. Like the other one, what's this one? The Dawn of the Dying Sun. It features a cover of For All Those Who Died by Bathory, of course, which is good, but it's very close to the original, so not really necessary. But having said that, this band, another band I could compare them to is Bathory to an extent. You know, when Bathory does those mid-pace songs like like that kind of rhythm, yeah, the songs are very much in that vein too. So yes, for fans of Enslaved, early Enslaved, early Ulva, Allegiance and Bathory, you can't go wrong with Hades. All right, so that's it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for this video, guys, because normally I ramble on for an incredibly long time. But like I said, I do have other collection updates coming up, but they're involving different styles of metal. So I just thought I'll just break them up into categories and keep the videos short. But let me know what you think of that idea anyway. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I'd really appreciate the support, and no doubt I will be back relatively soon. So in the meantime, take care. Cheers. See you.